Hi, my name is Miss Melissa, and I am a teaching artist in the PACE program with the Acadiana Center for the Arts and the Lafayette Parish School System in Lafayette, Louisiana. Today, we are going to be learning about the great egret, which is a bird that is native to Louisiana. And we're going to learn about this bird by creating a great egret mask. Now, before we get started, I want you to look at the mask that I have behind me. Now, masks in general have been created throughout history for different reasons, all over the world in different countries. Now, the masks that I have behind me, they are actually all created in different countries. Now, this mask here of the fish, I don't know exactly where it was made, but I do know about the rest of them. This buffalo mask was created in Africa. This jaguar mask was created in Mexico. And this mask of a monkey was created in Korea. Now, what do you notice about all of these masks? What do they have in common? Meaning, how are they all alike? If you were thinking, well, the focus of the body would be the head, meaning, they could all be worn on the head. Or some masks are even made to just decorate the wall. Did you notice anything else? How are they all alike? Well, if you were thinking they were all different pictures of animals, you are correct. And speaking of animals, if you have not seen my video on part 1, alligator mask, I would suggest watching that one first before this one. And speaking of Louisiana animals like alligators, here is an example of a great egret mask that I made. You are going to make something very similar to this with me today. So let's go ahead and get our supplies so we can get started. You are going to need 2 sheets of white construction paper. You can use white copy paper or recycled white paper, but I have construction paper because it's a little bit sturdier, okay? But whatever you have will be fine as long as you have 2 sheets of white paper. You also need a pencil, an eraser, a pair of scissors, a bottle of glue, a napkin. If you have tape, any kind of tape, transparency tape like this, masking tape, blue painter's tape, any kind of tape, go ahead and get it. If you don't, it's okay. You can always use the glue, but the tape will make it easier. And then, lastly, you will need crayons. So go ahead and get your supplies. You can pause your video, and I will be here when you get back. Let's get started putting our paper together. Okay, so what we want to do is we want a long sheet of paper. So I want to put these 2 sheets of paper together, and we're going to tape it. If you don't have tape and you have glue, what you're going to do is put a thin line of glue along one edge, and you're going to overlap the paper and press it. And you're going to hold it down until it sticks. That is how you will use glue, okay? And you'll have to dry all the glue. But the tape is preferred, so I'm gonna use tape. So you just line everything up, and notice we're gluing our long sides, okay? Our paper has a short and a long side. We're gluing the 2 long sides together. Excuse me, taping. Okay, so I'm gonna make the sides touch, line them up. That looks good. And I'm going to hold it after I tear a piece of tape and put it right in the middle. I'm going to get it as close as you can. Okay. I'm going to keep until I taped the whole thing. Every space will be covered with tape. tape. Very good. Now watch. Let's see. Can you see that? I covered the whole thing. Now at any point in the video, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video. And I'll be here when you get back. So since we just put our 2 pieces of paper together, why don't we go ahead and shape the mask in the shape of the head of the great egret. So this is going to be underneath, like the back side. We're not going to see it, but I want to draw on it. So for right now, I want you to fold it in half the long way, like a long hot dog with the tape on the outside, because we're going to draw on that right now. You want the sides, the long sides to touch, and the corners. Once you get the sides and corners touching, then you can make a crease like this. Very good. You see, and you're going to have an open part and you're going to have the crease. We are actually going to draw on the crease. So with your pencil, and keep in mind, I could see the tape. The tape is on the outside. So with your pencil, I want you to, almost at the top of your paper, you're gonna mark it about right here, because we wanna draw some feathers. And then almost all the way at the bottom, I'm gonna get closer to the bottom on this side. Let me show you up close. You see that? That's the bottom, and this is the top. So go ahead and mark your paper. Now, the halfway point is where the tape is, okay? Right there is about halfway. So the top half, I'm gonna have kind of a circular shape to mimic the head of the egret, okay? And then the bottom half is going to be like a triangle for his beak. But his beak is a little bit longer than his head. So if this is the halfway point, okay, I'm going to go a little bit above. That's going to be about how his head shape, how big his head shape's going to be. Okay? Now, I just kind of marked it because this is going to be the back anyway. So what I want you to do is, with your pencil where you put your top mark, I want you to draw a circle, almost a complete circle, just like a big curve, a backward C, okay? And I'm going to darken it. And about where my line was, I'm going to draw a straight angle all the way down. Watch. And this is going to be his beak, and it gets closer and closer, you know, to the paper. You see that? So I have like a circular shape for his head. And then right when I got past that little mark, I started straightening it out. It's just a straight line, an angle, all the way down to the corner. Now, what we're going to do is draw a couple of feathers on the top of his head, because birds have feathers, and we're going to make a curvy line. So watch. We're going to draw a curve. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you noticed, I kind of got smaller as I went down. So we can erase this part underneath. So we're going to cut that out. So I'm going to go ahead and darken. Tell you what, while you're still drawing, I'm going to darken what we're going to cut out. Okay, that way you could see it. So we have the straight line for the beak, kind of looks like a triangle, the round shape with our feathers, and I just drew some curves with a point. About 4, 3 or 4, even 5 or 6 are fine. And that is what we are going to cut out. Do the best you can. Is it supposed to look exactly like mine? No, it's going to be yours, and that's what's going to make it so special. So let's cut this out. With your scissors, you want to make sure you always open it as wide as you can, and you're going to place the paper in the back of the scissors mouth. Close, and we're going to open, close. Now make sure your fingers are always kept away from the scissors, and then you could slide the paper way in the back of his mouth. Okay, I'm gonna turn it. You can always turn your paper, or you can turn your scissors. Watch, I'm turning my scissors. See, I'm keeping my paper still, and I'm gonna turn the scissors. See? Or you can keep your scissors still. Now watch. And I'm gonna turn the paper. So you are in control. And if you don't cut exactly, I can cut that off if it's bothering me. If you don't cut exactly on the line, it's fine, because this is gonna be the back of our mask. I'm gonna make a bigger feather, see? Now watch. Now all this is trash. Once you finish cutting, we're gonna open it up, and all of the tape and your pencil marks are going to go on the back. Now let's look at our shape of our egret. Look at that. Isn't that neat? So before we start drawing the eyes and designing the great egret's beak, why don't we take a look at what a real great egret looks like and maybe find out where he lives. Here I have a book called Louisiana Impressions. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of pictures because great egrets are native of Louisiana, and they live around the swamp and marshes. Here is a really good picture of a swamp, and you could see all the green vegetation sitting on top of the water. And in a swamp we have trees that grow in the water. That's what a swamp is. It's pretty neat. We have lots of swamps in Louisiana. Now look at this. I'm showing you the habitats of egrets. Now egrets also live on the land as well, but it does like to live around water because it can eat small fish. And it tends to like small fish as well as insects and frogs and lizards. I think they even like to eat mice. But isn't this beautiful? Look at the lily pads. Now a marsh is when there's a lot of grass growing out of the water. It's pretty shallow. And let's keep going. I'm going to show you one more picture of... Here's another picture of a marsh, more so in a woodsy type area. You could actually see the bottom of it, of the ground. Now here is a picture of a great egret, and it's actually, I think this is a swamp. Beautiful. It's a white bird. And I know it's hard to see, but you'd have to get up really close, but it's very pretty. Around the eyes, it's like most of them have a bluish, yellowish, greenish color. And then the beak is light yellow, orange, and then it can get dark to even like a red orange. So it almost has a rainbow, colors of the rainbow, with the exception, I haven't seen any purple. from the eye all the way down to the beak, and there's a little bit of black as well. So it's very pretty. His face is very pretty, and then the rest of him is white, and you could see his feathers. So, and you can actually see him in his habitat, which is where he lives. So now you'll have a good idea of what your great egret mask can look like, so we can get started drawing it. I hope you enjoyed looking at the pictures in this book. I'm ready to start drawing the eyes of the egret and start designing his face and his beak. All right, so we're gonna need our pencil. The first thing I want you to do, if you can look at the top part of his head like a circle, can you put a dot in the middle? Now we're just gonna make some light marks on our paper because it's gonna help us draw his eyes and his design that goes on his face. So we're just gonna draw real light. So after you find the center, softly make a dot, and then I also want you to draw a straight line, or even a, somewhat of a straight line across to show where his beak is gonna be. I'm gonna darken it a little bit so you can see it. Now we're gonna erase both of these later, okay? Also, let's do this up here. We're gonna draw a straight line going through this middle circle. Didn't have to be perfect. Lightly draw a straight line. See that? So we have one line here, another line, and then a dot that we're going to erase later. Now our mask is set up so we can make parts of the face. So I want you to pretend your bird's going to have 2 eyebrows. And underneath this line, we're going to draw a curvy line. Underneath the straight line, let's draw a curvy line about where you think his eyebrows would go, spaced evenly apart. Okay? Now this line is going to stay there. So you can darken it if you like it. Go ahead and darken it. And now, watch. We're going to bring it all the way down and curve it to connect them. That's going to be his beak. He has a fancy beak. Okay? Very good. Now, what I want you to do you see where his eyebrow is right here? Let me go ahead and darken this really quick. Yeah, because this is going to stay. This is going to stay. All right, so back up here. Now, we are going to make another curvy line that points up right past this straight line. Watch. Curvy. Let's do the same thing on this side. And curvy. And it just goes a little bit past the straight line. Just like that. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to curve it back down. And I'm going to follow the design of his head. See? All the way to this line right here. See? Make a curve. And I'm going along with the design of his head. You see that on both sides? I just curved it back down and I stopped right at the top line of my beak. All right, so now we're gonna go a little bit past the beak. A little bit past this. I want you to go in and around. Bring it in and around like that. Can you see that? So we just went past that straight line into his beak and we just curved it around. Now, once you do that, we're gonna do one more, we're gonna draw one more thing on the beak. Okay, so let's see. I tell you what, let's go ahead and draw the bottom part of his beak. So you're gonna put your pencil on the curve and we're gonna draw a straight line. This is gonna be the bottom part of his mouth or his beak. I'm gonna stop here. We're gonna go all the way back up. Now, if you notice, it's very close to the edge of my paper. We're just drawing a thin line to show the bottom part of his mouth. Now let's draw another thin line. This is gonna be the shadow from the top part of his beak to the bottom, and we're gonna color this little space black. It's about the same size. Okay? So I just drew one, like a letter V, actually, a letter V. I drew one letter V, and then I drew another letter V, or two straight lines. Very good. Okay, now, once you do that, what we're gonna do is put our pencil right on the corner, and I'm gonna lightly draw a wide, small letter V. That's gonna help me know where to make the yellow stop. This is just gonna be for coloring. Can you see that? I can make it a little bit darker so you can see it. All right, so the only thing we need to do now is draw his actual eyes. So we're gonna put his eyes underneath his eyebrows, and it's a nice size oval. It takes about half of the space. If this is the whole space, it takes about half of it. And we want them to kind of match. So this one's a little bit too small, and so I want it to be a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. I'm gonna bring it down a little bit more. And there we have it. How's that? And great egrets have a black circle in the middle of their eye, just like we do, called a pupil. So let's draw a black circle in the middle of his eye. Now we can get rid of all those lines that we don't need. So with my eraser, I'm going to erase the dot, and I'm going to erase the straight line on top. Now keep in mind, if I'm going too fast, you can always slow down the video by pausing it, and I will be here when you get back. Okay, so I'm erasing that top line so we don't see it anymore. We don't need it. That was just to help us measure. And then the straight line that we drew to make a triangle for our beak in the beginning, we're going to erase that one. We don't need a straight line running here. And if you have any extra pencil marks that you don't want, you can go ahead and do that now, and so we can start coloring because we don't have to draw anymore. So let's make sure we have all the parts. Ready? We have the eye and the pupil on both sides. I like to call this his eyebrow, and then his fancy design by his eyes with the curvy line starting off his beak. And then we have two letter V's to show the bottom part of the mouth and the shadow. And then this line right here is going to help us divide our color. So you did a fantastic job. Now we can start adding the color to our great egret. I want to start coloring his eyes first. Now, egrets have yellow eyes, and I've also seen them have orange eyes. So I'm just going to start, and I want you to press hard. So let's do this together. You can choose orange or yellow, it's up to you. And it doesn't matter what shade. You can have a yellow orange, a red orange, or just a regular orange. You can even mix two colors together. So we're going to color the outside of the eye around the big circle. And then we're going to color the inside circle black because that is his pupil. Now keep in mind, the eyes we're pressing hard, but for the rest of his face, we're going to start off pressing soft or medium because you may want to mix colors, okay? All right. Now, do you see this line that I have here? I'm going to go and erase that because that is where we're going to start coloring his beak yellow. So I'm going to kind of medium pressure, just kind of draw it out. And about right here, I can make a curve. And then about right here. Let's go ahead and color all of this yellow, medium. Now, this is his beak. He just has a fancy design. And he's got beautiful feathers around his eye, and it fades out into his beak. So that's why we have this fancy design, because that's what makes great egrets so pretty. They have beautiful colors on their face around their beak, and it just all blends together. So with your yellow, we're going to color this area. About a medium pressure, you know, not too hard, not too soft. It's always good to start off soft or medium because then you could always press harder later. Okay, you see that? All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press soft. I'm gonna go past this and press really, really light. Super, super light. I'm gonna fade in to the bottom. Do you see the difference? You can't even really see it that much. It's very, very light. Maybe press a little bit harder. Now this is where I'm gonna add in the orange, okay? So this whole bottom part is going to be orange, and I'm gonna press very soft. So I want you to color this section orange very softly. We're pressing very light. All the way down. Now we're not going to color the bottom part of the mouth or the shadow. Those two letter V's that we drew, we're going to leave that alone. We're still on the inside of his beak, this big section. Okay, do you see that? Now, as I get down on the bottom, I'm going to darken it. So I want you to darken the bottom part of his beak. And then we're going to get a little softer as we go up, to go from dark, medium to light. And then I could even take my orange and softly, 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 softly color part of the yellow. So you're just mixing. I'm showing you how to mix colors. Let's take our black and we're going to color this thin line black. This is going to be the shadow between the top part of his beak, which is what we just colored, and the bottom part, which we did not color yet. That's the edge. Now the bottom part of his beak, I think I'm going to show you how to make it a little darker if you want. You can make it, if you have a red orange, this is a red orange. I'm going to press very hard. I'm going to show you. You can just kind of watch for a second. So this is red orange. It's got an orange color with a tint of red. You see how it's darker? Now, if you don't have a red orange, what you can do is take your orange and you can color it, you know, soft, medium, somewhere around there. And then you can take a red and go over it with a medium pressure. and it's going to look like a red-orange beak. So I'm showing you how to mix colors. You can mix orange and red to get red-orange. You can mix yellow and orange to get a yellow-orange. And it's really up to you. Maybe you want to make the beak have more orange. Maybe you want to make the beak have more yellow. You are designing. This is the fun part about art. You get to be the artist. With the same yellow, I am going to color super, super light all the way up to his eye. Now, this top part, you can make green yellow. You can have like a bluish green if you want. It's up to you. But he does tend to have, and I'm saying he, it could be a she, but your mask, it's really up to you, but you can choose green or blue around the eyes. You could even choose both. I'm going to show you how to do both. So with the blue, I'm going to lightly, now green and blue is pretty dark, so I'm going to press very soft. Just around his eye. And then all of this curvy line here, I'm going to color blue all the way back down. So along the top parts of the curve, I'm pressing medium, and then I'm getting really, 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 really soft. See that? Same thing. Right around his eye, I'm pressing medium all along the edge of this fancy curve around the eyebrow and the side of his eye. I'm pressing, medium, kind of soft medium. And then now I'm pressing very, very soft. I'm going to color really, really, really light all the way up to his eye and a little bit past it. If you want to add some green, you can. And you could press soft. And you could even go back and press harder for the parts that you want to be brighter. After I finished coloring his eyes, I went ahead and traced the outline of his eye design and his actual eye shape with a black crayon. So if you want to go ahead and trace your line designs, the outline with a black crayon, you can. And you can pause the video and I will be here when you get back. But right now, we are going to turn our mask into a three-dimensional form. Right now, it is 2D, which means it's two-dimensional. It has two sides, the front and the back. We want to make it 3D, which is three-dimensional, which means three or more sides. Well, how do we do that? By folding our mask. But in order to fold, we have to make a slit at the top of his head, about as long as your thumb. And then we're just going to gently fold it over. Not too tight and not too loose. Now you could see the actual two sides and the top. So what we're going to have to do is put a triangular shape area of glue on the back of this. Okay? And we're going to hold it down for about 10 seconds. And you could even use your napkin. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and I'm just pressing with my hands. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, if you missed any spots, you could always add more glue, and if you got too much, you can wipe it off. And there we have it. Our great egret mask is finished. And if you want to wear this, you could always get the help of an adult to help you cut out some circles in the eyes and put an attachment so you can put it around your head. You did a great job. Thank you for joining me today. We will be posting a new lesson every day at 10 a.m. on the Acadiana Center for the Arts YouTube channel for kindergarten, first, and second grades, each tying in to the academic curriculum. You can also get these lessons on AOC as part of the Learn United program, accessible on channel 16 for Cox or channel 4 for LUS. Kindergarten lessons air at 8 a.m. and first and second grade lessons air at 9 a.m. Some lessons will be in visual arts and some lessons will be in creative movements. So be sure to come back and make art with us tomorrow. If you are interested in supporting programs like this, you can visit the Acadiana Center for the Arts.org, which is the nonprofit organization who manages this PACE program. Spread the word, share our videos, and keep making art. If you want more, you can book me for a private online lesson, and my email is in the description box below. Thank you and have a great day.